Thanks very much for joining me for another edition of 15 Minutes with Father Greg. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Hope you like it, and then you can share it with those who you think might find it interesting as well. And as always, please feel free to submit questions by following the link to the Google Doc below this video. I really appreciate getting your questions. And right now you might be wondering where I am as I'm filming this little video. It's a place in the parish that a lot of people, most people, never see. It's one of the back offices, actually the area where we keep our mailboxes and copy machine and such. It's one of those very practical rooms that nearly every office has. The reason why I'm filming here today is because a number of questions that I get with some regularity is, how does the parish function? Or some people wonder, how does the church, we hear so much about the church, or how does the Vatican work? How does it operate on a day-to-day basis? Because the truth is, most people's interaction with their church, with their parish, is coming to Mass on Sundays. And obviously for the past few months that's been touch and go because of the pandemic. But for most people, their experience is coming to church, going to Mass, and then leaving. Yes, there are families that are involved in religious education, we have a number of volunteers, but most people come to Mass and that's it. And that's fine. I mean, coming to Mass is a really great thing. But some might wonder, what happens during the week? What happens Monday through Friday at a parish? I often think that there's a myth out there that myself and just a few people are sitting here all day, quietly praying our rosary, maybe answering a phone call here and there. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Yes, we pray. And yes, the phone rings a lot. A lot of things happen here at the parish besides Mass. Of course, that is the most important thing that we're about as a parish community, is providing the sacraments for the good of the people. Now, in a previous video, I outlined what a typical day in the life of a parish priest is all about, what it includes. And part of that, a big part of it, is celebrating, of course, the sacraments. And that's what we do here at the parish. So we have daily Mass. We also have weddings and funeral masses. We have the celebration of the anointing of the sick, and a lot of other liturgical events that take place during the course of the week. But the sacraments aren't the only thing that we do. So it's not just the worship space that's used, but the whole parish center, the offices, and the staff that work here. So I'd like to take a moment just to describe how our parish and how most parishes operate on a daily basis. Then I'd like to expand that a little bit to how a diocese works, or how a national conference of bishops works, and yes, maybe even look briefly at how the Holy See, or the Vatican, works. So here at St. Gerard's, like parishes all around our country, there are a group of people who are professional staff, paid people, and then we have a large volunteer staff, both of which are necessary to make the many activities that we have run efficiently. So, as I mentioned already, the sacraments are a major part of parish life. And so I have a music director and a number of volunteer cantors who help to coordinate and make our liturgies beautiful with music and song. And so I have a music director who is works on that regularly, making sure that all the masses are covered and that things are prepared well for each celebration, whatever it might be, a wedding, a funeral, or Sunday Mass. We also have administration to deal with. In many cases, we operate somewhat like a business, and that is that we have HR, that we have bills to pay, we have a staff to take care of, we have a lot of those nuts and bolts sorts of things. So there's a business manager here full-time who ensures that all of those important details are attended to on a regular basis. A huge part of the parish, of course, is raising our children in the life of faith, and so we have religious education here. Over 700 students are enrolled in our program every year from levels 1 through 8. So those preparing for their first communion and those who are preparing for confirmation and everyone in between. So we have a full-time staff who takes care of that component of our parish. We have a director of religious education, and we have a great staff of volunteers who help as catechists, and again helping with some of the more practical things like security and organizing those classes. Now, obviously, because of everything going on right now, the way we're going to do religious education this year might be a little bit different than we normally have, but regardless, there will be formation here in some way, shape, or form, and that takes a lot of effort. We also have a rather extraordinary outreach program, something I'm really proud of as a member here at St. Gerard's. So we have part of it is our food pantry, and we've seen a great increase in our demand and request from families for assistance. That request has gone up over 200% throughout this pandemic over the past few months. So giving out food is a major part of what we do, and we have a lot of people who come and some great volunteers who help to organize everything and distribute it in an efficient way. We also normally would have a soup supper on Thursday evenings, a really great meal. A soup supper doesn't even begin to describe it. It's a really great hot meal that's prepared lovingly by a group of volunteers. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to have that, but we hope that will resume in the coming months. We also have, as part of our outreach services, our great thrift shop on the other side of our campus, which offers great quality items at steep discounts. It's a service to the community and also benefits the parish a great deal. So many people generously donate items that can then be resold, and the profit going to the parish to help make ends meet. So a really important part of our ministry. And of course, we have a custodial staff that helps to ensure that our buildings are kept clean and neat and beautiful. And of course, anyone who knows St. Gerard's knows that we're in the midst of a huge campus overhaul right now with our multi-year, multifaceted building project, the culmination of which, of course, will be a beautiful church, specifically and exclusively for the celebration of the Sacraments. So I look forward to sharing more with you about that in the coming months. How does the parish work on a business level? Well, we're actually a corporation. Each parish is its own corporation under the umbrella of the diocese and the bishop. So myself and the bishop and another bishop make up 3 members of the Board of Trustees, and then there are 2 lay trustees who serve for several year terms, and the 5 of us make up this corporate board. I also have 2 really important groups who offer me counsel and guidance as I lead the parish. One is the Pastoral Council, a group of about a dozen or so parishioners from all different walks of life, different ages, men, women, even young adults, who help to advise me on a wide variety of issues. Or if I have a question or I'm struggling with something, I go to them, and they've always offered me really superb advice. I also have a finance committee, because part of the pastor's job is ensuring that the goods of the parish, that is, everything that's donated to us, be it money or other items, that they are distributed well and taken care of very well. So I have that really important responsibility, and I don't do it on my own. I have a great group of professionals, those who have been in banking and finance for many years, advising me on how best to marshal the resources of the parish to ensure our longevity for many years to come. So that's me as a pastor here at St. Gerard's, and a lot of other pastors would describe their own parishes and their ministry in the same way. The bishop is the chief shepherd of the diocese. So for us here in the Diocese of Rockville Center, there are 133 parishes, of which Bishop John Barras is the chief shepherd. So you could really take what I have here at my parish and just expand it on a much bigger level, and that will describe how the diocese runs on a daily basis. Of course, there is the bishop, the chief shepherd, and then he's assisted by his first deputy, if you will, and that is the vicar general. That is, he acts in the person of the bishop on a regular basis, helping to oversee especially the administrative parts of the diocese. There are also 3 other vicars who have a grouping of parishes, roughly 30 to 45 parishes each, spread out throughout the diocese, and they kind of are the go-between for the bishop and pastors. And then the bishop has a cabinet of laymen and women and consecrated religious who help him to oversee the many activities within the diocese. So he has a cabinet for education, for our Catholic schools, for Catholic health services, for faith formation, for Catholic charities, for communications, and just this week our bishop announced the formation of a new office of evangelization and catechesis, which will be pulling from some other offices to help focus our work on spreading the gospel and also in raising not only our children, but also especially our young adults on college campuses and families grow in their knowledge of and appreciation for the faith. Now, our diocese is one diocese among hundreds in the country. And so while each bishop is the chief shepherd of his diocese, there's an important principle called collegiality. That is, that bishops ought to be concerned with other dioceses as well, that they should collaborate, be in a college with, if you will, the other bishops in the area. So we have what's called the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. So all the bishops in the United States gather twice a year for meetings to make statements and to help organize the efforts of the Catholic Church here in America. And they have a full slate of offices that are dedicated to those purposes. There's a president, a vice president, and a secretary general that oversee the efforts of the USCCB, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. So, we've seen a parish, a diocese, and a national conference. What about the Vatican? Well, again, could you imagine being the shepherd of over 1.3 billion souls? That's the responsibility that Pope Francis is entrusted with, and it is a very serious one. And of course, he can't do it all alone. So the Church, over 2,000 years, has actually organized itself into a really big grouping of different offices that help the Pope to accomplish his task as the chief shepherd of the Church, to be the vicar of Christ. There are 10 congregations, 13 councils, and 3 tribunals or courts that assist the Holy Father in his work of shepherding the Church Universal. It is a daunting task, and the Pope has a lot of assistance. And again, the way those offices are organized is not all too dissimilar from the way I organize my offices here in my parish. So there's a group that takes care of worship and the sacraments, others who do administration. Because the Vatican is its own country, there's also a Secretariat of State which has relationships with other countries throughout the world. There are also councils that help the Holy Father to organize efforts to evangelize, to promote marriage and family and children, to also look after the care of migrants and those who are fleeing perhaps lands that are overrun with famine or violence. A lot of different offices help the Holy Father to do his work. So that's a little glimpse behind the scenes of what happens in a parish, and yes, in a diocese, and even at the Vatican on a daily basis. It's a much bigger conversation than we have time for now, but it gives you a glimpse of how things are organized. Because our mission is this, very simply, to become saints. And we do that by doing the work of Jesus. And we accomplish that by growing in our faith and then responding to the needs of those around us. So I hope that sheds light a little bit more on what happens here at a parish behind the scenes. Some of it is really beautiful and the object of most people's attention, like going to Mass. And some of it is behind the scenes in the mailroom and the making copies and getting things in order. It takes all that type of work. And a really important theme as we celebrate Labor Day this weekend. Human labor is cooperating in the creative work of God. We share in his image and likeness, and so we are called and able to create with God, to work with him for the salvation of souls. Thanks so much for joining me. Again, as always, please feel free to submit your questions. I look forward to seeing you soon. God bless you and your families.